ya. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Hey, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
It's beginning to. You're right.
Yeah.
And it's Tuesday. We are so thankful that you guys have joined us. We have a special holiday series here for you.
And we are calling it Destressing Christmas.
I mean, can anybody relate? Are the holidays stressful?
Sometimes.
Can anybody relate to that? It's supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year.
I know it.
Does it sometimes turn into the most stressful time of the year?
Are we telling the truth?
We are truth tellers. So we just are excited to join you guys to talk about some of the gifts that become stressors.
Some of the things that we look forward to so much this time of year are some of our biggest stressors. And we are going to talk about 3 of them in this series.
Right.
But the one we're going to talk about today is maybe the biggest gift and the biggest stressor of all. Family togetherness.
Oh, family togetherness. It sounds so great.
It does. It's great in the abstract.
But I thought all families lived in peace and harmony, especially during the holidays. I mean, that's what it looks like on Pinterest.
I've watched it on Hallmark Channel.
Oh, it looks like that on Facebook too.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Right.
But
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, we're going to delve into the reality of that for a little bit. And to help us in this topic, we have invited our most wonderful, beautiful, and talented women's ministry admin, Dawn Torrance, and her lovely and beautiful and talented mother, Diane Davis.
That's right.
And we are going to be talking to them today about what causes some of this stress in families and how we can
combat it.
Yeah, that's
Maybe,
right.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Girls?
I'm going to say one reason we asked these two is because they've been inspirational to us as we have gotten to know them.
Yes.
You're both truly inspirational, the way that you love God, the way that you love people.
Thank you.
And we just
And the way you love family.
That's right. And yeah, those are
Sometimes
people.
it's easier to love other people than your own family.
Yeah, it's true.
That's
very true.
Oh, that's a whole nother lesson for another day. I think.
Add that to the list.
But this is why we asked them to be with us. So before we get started on this topic of family togetherness, we want everybody to learn a little bit about you guys. So maybe just tell us, how long have you been at the Hills Church? How long have you been a part of our church family?
Well, I've been there for 25 plus years. I came there with my husband. Well, actually, I saw a billboard.
Okay.
And so that's actually how I came. And so it was on race relations. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to hear what this is about. And so I came.
25 years ago,
Yes.
the billboard was about race relations.
Yes.
Okay, I do not want us to miss that detail. Okay, keep going.
Yes.
Keep going.
And I thought, that it's been something really, really close to my heart because Sunday is really most of the time the most segregated day of the year.
It's very true.
And so I thought, I'm going to go and see. And when I walked through those doors, I was so loved on. I thought, I want to be here.
Yeah. Well, and here's a fun fact. How long have you and Rick been at the Hills?
We have been over 32 years.
And so, how long have you guys known each other?
Since I've been there.
I mean, think about that. Like, that is, the Hills has gone through a lot of transformation, a lot of changes, and you guys have seen that because you've been there that long.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Dawn, when did you start coming to the Hills?
I came to the Hills a little over 24 years ago. I came to the Hills. I was going through divorce and probably about 8 months pregnant with my daughter.
Wow, that's overwhelming.
And so they just came right in, welcomed me, threw me baby showers, and it's been home ever since.
Yeah. You guys, some of y'all are watching and you know who you are, that have loved on Dawn and Diane for all these years. Yes. And it is important how we greet people at church, how we talk to them, how we love them. That was y'all's first impression, and I love that so much.
Well, and I love that you still remember that because I know there are people out there that you have loved on and you've made them feel welcome.
I've seen it.
And that's what we do. We give to other people what we've received from the Lord. And that's wonderful.
Well, one of y'all tell us a little bit about your family because it's unique.
Very.
One of you can start the
Yes.
story and the other can correct. You know?
Okay, well then I'm gonna let Dawn tell us.
goodness.
Since
So
Yes.
my family, so
Yes. Tell us about your family.
I mean, not everyone you're related to.
No,
Tell-
not everyone
Who lives
I'm
in your
related to.
house?
There
So
you
who
go.
lives in my house? So I'm an only child, and so
yes.
Isn't she special?
and
You play so well with
I know,
others.
I
I
She's so helpful.
and my parents are divorced, and so when they both got up in age, they needed a place to live. So my divorced parents live with me, and it is a beautiful.
Just you?
No, well, me and my husband,
Okay.
and I have a
And
20
two kids.
and 2 kids. I have a 23-year-old, but she has since left the nest. But I also started all over again, and I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old as well. So
Y'all, can you imagine that? She's gonna do Christmas for a 3-year-old, a 6-year-old,
Oh
a
my
23-year-old, her parents, like, oh my goodness, yes, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves.
no,
Yeah.
it's totally fine. So it's a beautiful multi-generational family, and it's nice.
You do. You've got a lot of togetherness.
Yes, a lot
at
of
your house.
togetherness.
Yes. Yes. Well, who's going to be in your house for Thanksgiving and Christmas this year?
Yeah, that's a great question.
So it's going to be myself, obviously, and my family, and my entire house.
I mean, that's not obvious. You might run away. I don't know.
I'll be there for a little bit. My daughter's boyfriend's family,
Not just the boyfriend, the whole family.
the whole family.
The whole family.
Um,
And we celebrate and open presents together. So it's, yes.
I told y'all they were inspirational.
That's right.
my in-laws will also be there. My best friend is going to be there as well with her family, and EJ and his wife, who are
EJ and Rachel?
EJ
Brown?
and Rachel Brown. Who
I
are
tell her
both-
why. She doesn't know why
Well,
they're gonna be there.
They're not local to this area, so their family doesn't live here. So they're going to join with us and come on in on our
I don't think
Thanksgiving.
they'll
so-
if we go, like,
Yeah.
they
They
will.
won't
guys are
notice.
welcome too.
They won't
Yeah.
notice. Yeah. Uh-huh. Well,
But that is
good.
so precious because EJ and Rachel have been a part of our church for, what do y'all think, 6 months, 8 months?
Something
And
like
so
that, yeah.
already Dawn has welcomed into recognize that they have lots of family out of state, but less family in state.
Yes.
And so, if
Yeah.
any, maybe
Yeah.
not any.
Yes.
And so,
Okay.
they're going to Dawn's house for the holidays.
Okay, so let me see if I've got this right. Y'all are a married couple.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all are a divorced couple.
Yes.
In-laws.
Yes.
Little children. Grown children.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Blended families.
Boyfriend's family.
Yes, multiple
Boyfriends.
generations. That is a lot of family togetherness.
Yes.
Yes.
It is.
Okay, so
Now, before
in
we
case
dive
you were
into-
wondering, these women are
Right.
qualified.
And they are qualified.
Okay?
And before we even talk about how stressful that might be, I want us to back up just a second and talk about, like, Christmas is what is y'all's favorite holiday memory or Christmas memory of you growing up and how your family handled Christmas?
I'll let you go first.
Okay.
Nice daughter.
Well, my favorite, you kind of realize where the legacy come from, and just like anyone's coming through. Well, cousins and aunts and uncles, and you name it, we get together, and we got together at my grandparents' house, and for Christmas, and it was such a joyous time. We sang songs and ate food, and well, I had an aunt there, and I wasn't really sure whose side she was on, whether she was my
I could see
grandfather's.
how that might happen now that y'all
Yes. Yes, whether it was my grandfather's or my grandmother's, and so, but I just listened close and just kind of said her name, you know, how everyone else greeted her. And then later, after she had left, her and her husband, which would have been my uncle, I said, "Grandmother, who was that person? You know, how are we related?"
Yeah.
And she says, "Oh, I met her and her husband in the grocery store, and they didn't have a place to spend Christmas." So it was such a, that was a legacy, and I remember that about my
Absolutely.
grandmother.
Yeah.
And we always had place at the table for visitors, and
That's
so
cool.
She passed that down to you, and you have clearly passed that down
Yes.
to Dawn.
Yeah.
That is so sweet.
Yes.
So Kelsey and Laura, I'm just saying the pressure is on.
yes.
My favorite Christmas memory is a little bit different.
Okay.
And it's not going to sound great. I had the stomach flu.
Oh, that does sound terrible.
And we had just moved into a new house and our hot water heater broke as well.
Oh.
So it was a horrible, just the worst thing that possibly can imagine.
How old were you?
Oh, I was older.
She was grown.
I was an adult. I had children.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is your favorite Christmas?
Yeah, it's my favorite Christmas, and I was hosting Christmas.
Oh, no.
So here I have no hot water. I'm very sick, and we're about to have Christmas the next day. And so it was my favorite because my mother-in-law and my mother and my grandmother all pitched in and helped make the meal get better and get the gifts open. They just really kind of, it was a whole thing where the family all helped out to make sure food was on the table. We were about 3 hours late and there was some complaining, but it's one of my favorite memories because it was just one of those together. We were together and we worked together to get something done.
It wasn't perfect. It was
no,
together.
it wasn't perfect at
That's
all.
right. That is so important. That's one of the things we wanted to talk about today. That family is a gift.
Yes.
Togetherness is a gift.
Yes.
That God gives us. It can often turn into a stressor.
Yeah.
It can be. We're being real. And that can happen in a couple of different ways. I mean, there's lots of reasons that families can't gather. Maybe they live too far away, or maybe their schedules don't align, or maybe there's even been some conflict in the family, and so there's some separation. Last year, a lot of families weren't able to gather like they traditionally did before, right? So that can be one stressor. It can be very lonely. It can be, there can be some anxiety, maybe even, but also, if everybody's coming to Christmas this year, that can also be very stressful. And we want you guys to look forward to whatever your Christmas looks like. We want you to enjoy it. So that's what we were talking about. How does family become a stressor?
Yeah, and you know, I was going to say your memory makes me think of a Christmas movie. You know, I mean, there's this horrible situation, and everyone finally bands together to rescue Christmas. I'm trying to think of what could we do with the stomach bug to kind of anyway, but the problem is we just are so excited about Christmas and we are looking forward to it so much, and then something always happens. Something always goes in the works that messes everything up, and it just rarely ever, if ever, is a perfect Christmas.
That's true.
And so, what we want to talk about this morning, first of all, is, and I want you to be thinking about this, what are some of the things that make it so stressful? These are the people we love the most in the world, you know.
Yes.
Why is it that I'll find myself mad at everybody before we ever sit down to eat, or could y'all be my counselors, please? But you know, I'm mad. I'm not going to say that because I'm answering the question. But do you ever get the feeling that I've done everything I could to make this special, and it's like you're all trying to ruin Christmas.
Well, and you and I even talked about this. Family's supposed to connect us. It is that gift. It's members of families that they look different, have different opinions. We want our families to be unique and to have different opinions and different goals, but they're also going to have different needs, different beliefs even, and different life experiences depending on who all's coming to your home for Christmas. So we don't want that gift that is intended to connect us to disconnect us.
Yes.
And if we are not intentional, that's exactly what the enemy wants to happen and can happen. So what do we think? What do you guys think? Like, what are some unrealistic expectations that we just put around the holiday season and having our families together?
Well, and just before we get going, I wanted to just say this to everybody. Susie Jeffrey taught me years ago that expectations are premeditated disappointments.
Write that down.
Okay?
Yes.
Premeditated disappointments. So let's figure out what are some of the expectations we have that set us up and our family up for disappointment. Yeah.
Basically, when that control, it's like I want, and when you start saying I want that control, my expectations, using those words, we're talking about togetherness. It's not we're forgetting how Jesus operated.
Yes.
It's my will, not God's will.
Right.
And so we really need to start focusing on His will, how He would do it, instead of saying, okay. And I will say sometimes I have to watch myself, because I can be that Martha, that everything's like, okay, we have to be on a flow. But we do need to be that Mary and be at the feet of the person that we're serving, that if we're hosting, that we're welcoming into our home.
Yeah.
And so I think that is very important. So and just really know if you're one that gets your feathers ruffled, is kind of know your triggers. So
that's a good word. Triggers.
It's just know your triggers. And Dawn, you have anything?
It's perfection. Not everybody's perfect Christmas is the same. Your idea of a perfect Christmas may not be my ideal, and our path to that perfect Christmas can be different.
Your perfect Christmas might actually be torture for me.
Exactly.
And the reason that thought is coming to my mind is because Dawn is super excited about recording an interview today. And she so graciously is doing something a little out of her comfort zone. But what a great reminder that just because you think it's perfect, that may not be what makes other people feel comfortable.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
We have this ideal that we're all going to be sitting around the fire, singing songs, roasting chestnuts, and it's going to be wonderful and perfect, and we're going to go in the store, and that perfect gift is going to be in there, and our budget, and that's not the way it is. So
everyone will be excited about every activity.
Yes. So everyone's coming to the table to enjoy their meal, but a lot of other stuff comes to the table.
Yes.
So and we have to realize that. So.
Right. And I sometimes will think, okay, everyone will be on their best behavior at Christmas, and so, weird Uncle Fester, is not going to bring up, contrails or whatever, or my kids would be like when they were little, they'll act really good because it's Christmas.
Christmas.
No, because everything's up for grabs. Everything's different.
Yes.
Well, and we trade off Christmases, and so this year we're with my husband's family, but the grandkids, there's 10 of them, ranging from second grade to 24 years old. So to even think that schedules are going to completely align, that activities are going to be like what everybody wants to do, it's just not even realistic.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
3-year-old needs a nap, and 24-year-old needs to
24
finish this up so he can go see his girlfriend.
And then the 48-year-old needs a nap. Like, I don't know. It happens.
Okay.
It happens.
So what are some strategies so that we don't just keep doing the same thing and expecting different results?
That's the definition of insanity.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
So, go ahead.
I'll go. Well, for me, it's know your strengths. I do not like shopping, so the idea of shopping for gifts is horrible to me. That's not a perfect. That's not a perfect Christmas. So I leave that up to my mother.
I love that.
And I say, hey, here's the things that I think people might like, and she goes out and does the shopping because she enjoys that.
That's awesome.
She doesn't cook. I love to cook.
Yes.
My daughter loves to decorate, so she does all the decorating for Christmas. So we split everything up, and we know our strengths, and we play to those strengths.
That's great.
Well, that's, again, togetherness.
Yes.
Like, when you think about it,
You're not shopping together, but you're...
It's a form of togetherness.
It is.
Form of togetherness.
It's a form of
cooperation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we just divide up everything, and so it works wonderful. So, and I get to shop and pick out what I want, and even if I see something else, I don't mind taking it back and exchanging it.
Yeah.
So
I like you.
Yeah.
I like to shop, and I also don't mind returning something.
That's me. So
the idea of setting foot in a store just terrifies me. If I can't get it online, I don't really need it.
yeah.
Well, I was talking to one of my kids the other day about family stuff, and he said, I think what's tripping me up is I always thought that what you do outside, the home, that's where you go out to be ministers and servants to people. And then when you come home, you're supposed to get to be yourself and relax and take it easy, And I'm starting to see.
That's what most people think.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and that's exactly what you were saying is that we've got to realize that even though this is family, when we all get together, it's still important for us to have that servant attitude.
Yes.
How can
good.
I honor God by loving you?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a great strategy.
That's exactly. So you kind of need to know your triggers and just knowing, you know, what, you know, really may kind of upset you. And how to remove yourself in a polite way. So maybe so whatever that strategy is, but you know, plan ahead of time. That communication.
Right. Yeah.
And sometimes I think because Christmas, most people forget, you know, why we celebrate Christmas, the season, you know, why. And so it gets about stuff and you know and toys and so and it's really, if a family comes and one family has plenty of money and they're not struggling, but another family does, and so but the other family is just talking about what they got. Sometimes you can offend. So I think it's really important to be sensitive to others and just understanding and not to boast about those things.
If we didn't talk about anything else today but that, like we all go home with something, a strategy that might help us differently this season. You know, just to think about how do I love on the people in my home? How it's not about the gifts. It's not about the menu.
No.
It's not about what's in the stockings. It's about the people God has given you.
And you can plan ahead. You know, if you've been having, if that person's been getting on your nerves for the last 10 years, you know, you can have a plan for, okay, when they start doing this, how, Lord, show me, Lord, how do I respond in a way that brings you glory and honors them, you know?
Well,
and so that you're not in the midst of this blind rage, you know, you're now that's the worst time to try to think of what you're supposed to do.
Exactly.
And girls, we all know when we access the Spirit, that is where we can access the fruit of the Spirit, which is love and joy and peace and kindness and gentleness. Like, we don't have to do it in our own strength.
No. Exactly.
And I love what you said about preparing your kids too. You know, talk to them about this. They don't have to be adults before they start realizing that they can prepare for family togetherness.
Exactly.
I love
It's so important. And so, you know, just helping your kids to understand and be a servant. One of the things I started with my oldest granddaughter is that since she was the first grandchild, and that I didn't want her to have that selfish heart. And so we started, even she was actually a little baby, and I took her shopping, and so of course, and you know, and I just we bought toys, not for her,
for somebody else,
for other kids.
We all listening to that?
Yes, and so, and then I went to Alliance for Children, and I had a little cap on her head, and I had this bag of toys, and I had some more toys to bring in. But I went in with her, and then I said, I have more toys in the car, so can you hold her while I go get the other toys?
But you were really trusting the people.
I know. But Alliance for Children, they were like,
now she tells me this.
On camera, so you can't react.
And so it was, you know, and so that was something that was such, you know, joy, and then when she got old enough, I allowed her to choose. We did Ronald McDonald House for a long time because I think it sounded like McDonald's.
Maybe McDonald's to be a part of this deal somewhere.
I know. And so I would let her, we would, and give her choices and kind of tell her about that nonprofit and how they were helping children. And so it was something that was, you know, I always cherish, and having that legacy, you know, to serve others during this time.
Well, that leads just right into our next section about how to model making room for Jesus. You know, we all get upset about the innkeeper that had no room for him, but you know, I think a lot of the time we don't have any room for him at Christmas.
Right. We get stressed out about the time, and we don't have enough time. But really, if we focus on Jesus first, then we're going to have enough time.
Exactly.
Right. Right.
All things possible with him.
What I'm just wondering, like, what are some scriptures that keep y'all grounded in this season? Is there a scripture that you go, okay, like,
Yeah, Dawn.
Well, for me, it's Colossians 3:13, and it's bear with one another, and I'm paraphrasing. Forgive others as the Lord has forgiven you. I think so many times we assign motives to people, and we say, oh, well, you did this because you're trying to hurt me. And it's like, no, they may be hurting. And so don't assign motives.
that's good.
Forgive, and always remember to love other people.
Yeah.
No matter what, just love them.
Yeah.
No expectations, and I think that makes a big difference in bringing Jesus into the season.
Yeah.
I love it because even just as it says, forgive just as the Lord Christ forgave you.
Yes.
How did he forgive me? Was it when I deserved it?
No.
No, yeah. So
I mean, that is even something that you could write down on a little index card, put it in your car when you are, in the hustle and bustle of things. You can see that little card, or put it by your kitchen sink when you're having to do more baking and do more dishes, or have it right there when your family comes through the front door.
Moms, that's a little short verse. You can help your kids to memorize it. That can be something that we say out loud to each other when we're making up for, the kind of little moments that sometimes occur within families. Sometimes maybe not your kids, but mine.
So I'm just so thankful to talk about family togetherness and how do we intentionally create a space that loves people, that honors God, that we can look back on and have, we'll laugh at the things that didn't go maybe the way we thought, but we also may have those moments of seeing Jesus throughout the season.
I think that's so important. Taking your kids to do things for other people.
Yes.
Take your family to the candlelight service on Christmas Eve or Christmas Eve now. Reading the Christmas story with them. Helping.
I love that.
Yeah, just things that help us to remember this is really not about Santa Claus and presents.
Right.
It's about a gift that Jesus and Father gave to us.
Yes.
It's about people.
Yeah.
And families are all made of imperfect people. If you have the perfect family out there, come find us and we'll interview you.
None of us want to hear about it. Sorry.
But remember that all families are made of imperfect people. They're all made of people that were created in God's image.
Yes.
He created them exactly how He wanted them to be. He loves them. He delights in them. And we can do that too.
That's right.
And I have to remember that Uncle
Felix.
Uncle
Fester.
It's when I think about Uncle Fester and think, you know what? Jesus stayed on the cross the same amount of time for Uncle Fester as he did for me.
Yes.
And so,
Amen, sister. That's the way. That's the truth.
We all need it.
You're
We all
preaching.
need it. Yes.
Absolutely.
And what's really sad is I might be someone's Aunt Fester.
I know I am.
Yeah, they would be like, oh, is she going to be there? Oh, man.
Oh my goodness, we just want to thank y'all so much for joining us at the table, telling us about your family, just inspiring us to think differently maybe about the season and about family and the gift of family.
That's right.
Yes.
And I just want to say you've given us some really good big ideas.
Yes.
The big ideas are keep your focus on Jesus.
Yes.
Keep your expectations realistic. Love people and ask the Lord to help you love those people the way He does.
That's right. Well, guys, next week we're going to be back with a couple of guests and we're going to talk about Christmas traditions.
Oh, there could not be any
Traditions
stress
can't be
over
stressful.
that, could there?
So we hope that you will join us, and we also are praying that you have a wonderful holiday season. We love you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.